Hey, it's Chloe again at the Chloe Way, and today I've got a 5-minute video for you to show you how to analyse structure in poetry. We're going to be moving quickly, people, so grab your notebook now. And so we're going to break this down into 5 simple steps, that's one for each minute, and we'll be looking at rhyme scheme, stanza structure, the volta, punctuation, and the first and last line / words. All of these can be used for both your anthology poetry as well as unseen. But I'm not going to pretend that this 5-minute breakdown will cover everything. You'll have to check out my website for more information on tailored revision. It will, however, provide a basic structure that will cover quite a few points on the mark scheme. Okay, so let's start with a rhyme scheme then. And first thing you need to think about is, does it even have one? You need to be checking this and then understanding if it does, whether it's alternate, has rhyming couplets, if it's irregular and only uses it in some places. And you need to consider why. Like, how does this link to the meaning of the poem? So let's look at what I mean. Here I have London, and it has a really tight alternate rhyme scheme that never deviates. So we need to be linking this to the meaning of the poem, where Blake is lamenting the state of the city and how it barely provides opportunities for people. So this rhyme scheme shows that lack of freedom and how controlled everything is. Whereas in Before You Were Mine, I'm looking at the ends of the lines and I know there's no rhyme scheme. And so it reflects how informally the speaker is talking to the reader. But this poem is also about a time of freedom before children, and that lack of rhyme scheme reflects this freedom. Okay, so now we move into the layout of the stanzas. And we need to start really simply with this by seeing whether the poem actually uses them. If so, how many are there? And are the stanzas equal in length? Also within that, you're going to want to look at whether the line lengths are even within them. And from there, we again need to link back to meaning. So if we look at London again, the layout of the stanzas is just as tight as the rhyme scheme. It uses a quatern, and this is 4 stanzas made up of 4 lines. And these 4-line stanzas are known as quatrains. This poem's layout is controlled in almost every aspect. And also each stanza ends with a full stop, so it's a complete thought. Nothing even runs on from one element to another. So the layout here contrasts with the state of the city. It is so controlled that everyone in London is running amok. You also might want to consider how thoughts progress as stanzas move on. So then if you find a poem with no stanzas, it's just continuous, you're going to want to skip to the next step, because it's up to you to look where the breaks are, and this actually takes a lot more searching. So now we come to the volta, and this sounds really fancy, but it basically just means a shift or change in the poem. So where does the poem change? Does it change its mood from happy to sad, or any other way a mood can change? Does it change its tone, and that could be from lamenting to being really angry? Or it could change in feeling or emotions, so from in love to completely vengeful. And you might also find that there's some kind of indicator in the poem with a word such as but or however, or you might have to infer the shift yourself. You also might find that there's more than one shift. Basically, it's going to be on you to decide, but you must provide evidence. Now, a volta is really common in sonnets, these 14-line poems. So in Ozymandias then, which is a sonnet, the natural volta would be at line 9. I won't go into why right now, but watch this space for a video on sonnet form. And I think there is a change going on here, because it's like the dead king is coming back to life. However, I also think there's another shift around line 12, where Ozymandias falls back into being, dead and completely in dust. So you might find that you can quite easily argue with evidence that there's more than one volta or shift or change within a poem. Okay, so then we come to punctuation, and it's something that's key to analysing structure. So you need to be looking for enjambment. So these are run-on lines that reflect these flowing thoughts that can't stop. It also shows a lack of control or a sense of freedom. You also want to be looking for end-stop lines where there's definite punctuation at the end. These signify complete thoughts, or being short-tempered perhaps. It shows control, and that might be over their own emotions, or that they're being controlled by something or someone else. And then there's caesura, which is a piece of definite punctuation in the middle of a line. These suggest thoughts that have been interrupted and thoughts that can't quite be contained, but they're not as flowing as enjambment. And finally, a lack of punctuation tells us lots too. It could show that a speaker is breaking free from the constraints of rules, or it shows long, overflowing thoughts that cannot be stopped. And you need to then be linking those back to why. Why can't these thoughts be contained? Or why are these thoughts so contained? What is that showing? Is it reflecting something in the meaning, or is it at odds with it? Is it contrasting with that? Okay, and then finally, we have the first and last words and lines. Now we can look at these overall, so I'm talking the whole poem, or we can look at these in terms of a single stanza. So you also need to be considering whether these words or lines complement each other, so that is they reflect each other, or whether they contrast completely. Perhaps they might have nothing in common, and again you must link that back to the overall meaning of the poem. So in Before You Were Mine, the first and last words, I'm and mine, immediately indicate that the poem is more concerned with the speaker's emotions than the mother's. And then in the second stanza, the first and last lines, I'm not here yet, and you reckon it's worth it, essentially sum up how the speaker feels about her mother's life before she had children, this free spirit that has no space for family life. Okay, and that's all. So we can use this 5-step process to aid your independent revision and your overall analysis on the structure of poems. So let me know how you get on. Like this YouTube channel, comment, check out my website for more information on tailored revision lessons. Okay, and good luck in all your revision. Bye!